We're back with another episode of Inside the Stars. In this episode, we'll be looking at another talented BJJ fighter who has taken the world by storm since his debut years ago, and it's none other than Mikey Musumeci. From his early beginnings to his rise in the BJJ championships, we'll be taking a deep dive into his life and legacy. Mikey Musumeci was born on July 7, 1996, in Marlboro, New Jersey, USA. He started his BJJ journey when he was just 4 years old and only focused on BJJ from the very beginning. His eagerness to win is evident when he is on the mat, and his techniques are famous in the world of over the years growing up. Musumeci went through a couple of well-known trainers, each of whom contributed to his growth and success in BJJ. His first coach was Fernando CABEÇA Musumeci of Fatiho's Martial Arts Training Center. Under the supervision of Fernando CABEÇA, he utilized all that time and effort to learn new BJJ skills. After this, Musumeci's family moved to Wellington, Florida, where he started training under the tutelage of MARCELO RIBEIRO at just 10 years old. Now this is where Musumeci's career started to take off. His family once again moved, this time to Texas. And in Texas, Musumeci found his third coach in EMYR shark BUSSADE. BUSSADE took his BJJ game to the next level, and was so effective that Musumeci managed to win the IBJJF world title as a juvenile blue belt under BUSSADE's academy. As his name started to become prominent in Jiu-Jitsu, Musumeci got the chance to meet the legendary MENDES brothers, who train at the famous Art of Jiu-Jitsu Academy. Musumeci met Guilherme and Rafael Mendes at different seminars focusing on BJJ training, and he managed to build a strong relationship with the pair. Even today, he frequently visits their training center to sharpen his skills and train with the students occasionally. Towards the end of his training regime, Musumeci was training under Havel Byron and received the purple belt from him. After this, he returned to Boca Raton, Florida, and reunited with former coach EMYR BUSSADE. During this period, he also spent time training at ATT Aventura from another coach, Jonatas Gergel. Now that we've covered Musumeci's training and how he learned from different coaches to hone his skills, let's look at what he was actually able to achieve with all of that training. Mikey Musumeci's meteoric rise to the top of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world was nothing short of remarkable, and his first IBJJF black belt world title was just the beginning. And that title wasn't the only one. In fact, in 2016, Musumeci won 5 IBJJF World's black belt titles. He didn't just stop there. With each passing year, Musumeci's legend grew, and in 2019, he etched his name in the history books. In the final of the IBJJF World Championship, the Italian-American phenom made quick work of his opponent, executing his signature straight ankle lock with lightning-fast precision, sealing victory in a record-breaking 12 seconds. After dominating the GI BJJ championships at a young age, he decided to test his skills in no-GI tournaments, and his success continued seamlessly. At Who's Number 1, also known as WNO, Musumeci showcased his versatility by defeating top no-GI grappler Marcelo COHEN with an armbar triangle combination. In his next match, he showcased his innovation by creating a new form of heel hook and ankle lock, which he named the Mikey Lock, leading him to victory against Lucas Pinheiro. Adding to his list of accomplishments, Musumeci won yet another world title by outscoring Bruno Malfacine in the final round, further cementing his place in BJJ history. At this stage, Musumeci might have realized that he had outgrown jiu-jitsu and there weren't many fighters who could challenge him. So he set his sights on a new challenge, a new frontier to conquer. In 2022, Musumeci made his way to One Championship, the largest martial arts organization in the world. In his debut performance, Musumeci proved that he was more than ready for the big stage. Facing off against Japanese MMA and grappling legend Masakazu Imanari, the American phenom showcased his skills, submitting his opponent with a rear naked choke and earning a well-deserved $50,000 bonus. Moving on from his rise to the top, let's talk a bit about how Mikey Musumeci likes to fight. But before we get to that, we'd love to know whether you've enjoyed the video so far. If so, please subscribe to Valor Strategy Grappling and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on the upcoming videos. Musumeci is known for his impressive guard game, which has been honed by training under various mentors, including the Mendes brothers, who taught him the berimbolo, and Caio Terra, who helped him further develop his guard game. He has also mastered the crab ride and footlocks, particularly the botina technique. Today, Mikey Musumeci is considered one of the best BJJ athletes, with his guard game being one of the most revered and studied in modern BJJ. In a recent AMA session, Darth Rigatoni didn't shy away from listing out his favorite moves. He said, My favorite attacks from closed guard typically fall into two categories: posture versus head on chest. Head on chest. I love the overhook triangle. I love the Roger Gracie style, dragging the arm across the body. Much like any martial arts master, Mikey Musumeci's go-to technique from a specific position just boils down to two. When his opponent's head is on his chest, he goes for a highly effective triangle choke from an overhook setup. As for when his opponent is postured up, Darth Rigatoni goes old school and apes the legendary Roger Gracie with a classic arm drag from closed guard sweep. Check out this technique here as demonstrated by Gracie himself. All of this success, however, couldn't have been possible without hard work. And boy does Musumeci work hard. Just to give you a snippet, Mikey Musumeci trains 10-12 hours every day, and that's just jiu-jitsu. Insane, right? This was so impressive that it even left JRE host Joe Rogan shocked when he heard of it. Just before Musumeci fought Kleber Sousa in ONE Championship's first ever flyweight submission grappling world championship bout, he sat down with Joe Rogan at the MMA show episode number 127. The veteran MMA analyst, a black belt at BJJ himself, despite being north of 50, looks in incredible shape. Because of his interest in BJJ, Joe Rogan took time to address Musumeci's schedule of work. The Spotify podcast host wondered,
"You're known for being a guy who trains a ridiculous amount of hours a day.
Yeah.
Has that always been the case with you?"
Yeah, well, when I was in college, like, obviously my hours were limited with training, but since I've been out of college, like, I have so much more time now, so I'm just studying jiu-jitsu so many hours and drilling, you know.
So I heard you drill sometimes 12 hours a day.
Yeah, sometimes I'll end up drilling, like, all day, you know. If I'm studying a move or a position and I want to find an answer for it, like, sometimes it takes a long time. You know, and the puzzle of it is what makes me so interested in jiu-jitsu.
That being said, despite his rigorous training, Mikey Musumeci is incredibly chilled when it comes to diet and life. He likes giving back to the community and has helped the BJJ community and training centers heavily in the past. For most athletes, you would expect a highly strict diet comprised of lots of veggies and protein. Musumeci, on the other hand, eats quite a lot of pasta and pizza. How much? 7,000 calories of it, to be exact. And after 12 hours of training per day, we think this part is justified. A lot of times, Musumeci doesn't go to the gym and trains out of his Las Vegas home. Instead of elite athletes, he has friends and family members, hobbyists as they're called, train with him. Working with friends, students, and giving back to the community is all part of Musumeci's DNA. In fact, he has stated in the past that he's not someone who just wants to win. What makes him happy is teaching and traveling during his seminars. Eventually, he would like to open up a gym and continue teaching others. That's what really makes him happy. And now, let's move on to the last part of the video, where we'll look at some of the most historic fights Musumeci has been part of. Musumeci's biggest win came, of course, against Masakazu Imanari in 2022, when they fought for the ONE Championship's inaugural submission grappling bout. As we discussed before, Musumeci submitted the legendary Japanese grappler in under 4 minutes, with a rear naked choke, and earned a well-deserved $50,000 bonus in that fight. To recap the fight, Musumeci utilized his signature guard position and engaged in a brief leg lock battle with Imanari, who was one of the best leg lockers ever in MMA himself. Shortly after, he came up to top position in side control. From there, Musumeci had complete control of the match. He quickly transitioned to Imanari's back, trapped one of Imanari's arms, and sunk in a clean rear naked choke for the tap. Another big fight of Musumeci came against Lucas Pinheiro at WNO7 in 2021. In his match against Lucas Pinheiro, Musumeci demonstrated his exceptional technique by introducing a new submission hold that would change the landscape of BJJ forever. The lock, which he named the Mikey lock, was a modified inside heel hook and ankle lock that proved to be too much for Pinheiro to handle. In just a matter of seconds, Musumeci secured the submission and emerged victorious, cementing his status as one of the greatest grapplers of all time. We also need to talk about his IBJJF days, where 3.4. Mikey Musumeci came up against Ari Farias. Despite Farias' reputation as a formidable opponent, Musumeci managed to outclass him with his superior technique. Musumeci showcased a range of skills, from his takedowns to his ground game, and his ability to control the pace of the match. As the match progressed, Musumeci's technique became more and more dominant. He was able to take Farias down and control him from behind, earning points throughout the match. In the end, Musumeci emerged victorious, having earned more points than his opponent. The win was a huge accomplishment for Musumeci, and it solidified his position as one of the best BJJ athletes in the world. It's safe to say that Musumeci isn't headed away from MMA anytime soon. His next fight comes against the Yemeni challenger Osama Almirwai. With their showdown billed as a marquee offering, one flyweight submission grappling world champion Musumeci said he and Almirwai have a huge responsibility to deliver a worthy performance. The two top Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners will be featured in a world title match at One Fight Night 10 on Prime Video on May 5th in the United States. The event marked One Championship's first ever live on-ground event in the US, happening at One Bank Center in Colorado. This will be Musumeci's second title defense after he clinched the championship in September last year. In his first defense, Musumeci dominated Mongolian challenger Gantumur Bayanduran in January, winning a unanimous decision victory. Musumeci's upcoming opponent, Almirwai, will be making his One Championship debut and is eager to make a strong impression. The fighter has honed his skills at ATO's BJJ in San Diego, California, where he has been mentored by head coach and One athlete Andre Galvao. And that concludes our video for today. What are your predictions for Mikey Musumeci's fight against Osama Almirwai? Let us know in the comments section below.